Ladies and gentlemen, this is How to Paint Your Rifle 101. Let's get into it. So, step one is always going to be your prep work. You always want to clean the surfaces of the gun before you start painting, and you want to mask off anything that you don't want paint on, especially your action and everything. Paint gets in there, it's going to gum up the works, and you're going to have a really bad time. I would say actually barrel is more important because you don't want paint in your barrel.
Well, no shit.
But I've already prepped this gun. I'm going to walk you guys through some of those steps and how I did it. So let's take a look. All right, so as you can see, I have already taped off everything that I don't want painted. So I got a little bit of tape in here on the action. The whole action is masked off here. You can actually add a rag or something up into the action if you're struggling with that. Obviously, this is a lot easier on an AR-15, but on a bolt gun, it's a little more complex. So I just stuffed a rag up in the action to try to take up as much space as I could, give that tape a little bit something more to stick to. Obviously, all the numbers and markings on my scope that I need to be able to see, I taped those up as well. And on my rifle, there's this little plug that I had to add to the vent hole in the action, because if you don't add that and you get paint in there or over it, could be a bad day. Obviously, make sure when you're painting your scope you have your scope caps on. That is very important, obviously, because you will cover your glass in paint and you won't be able to see through it. I taped off the trigger here, and I just taped out the butt pad because it's rubber and the paint will crack off. I didn't want to deal with that. Other than that, make sure your magazine's in. Obviously, tape off your muzzle. And I like to hang them up in the air when I paint them because I could just like move around it a lot easier. It makes a lot more sense to do it that way. But you could just kind of lay it on a piece of cardboard on the ground and spray it. But I think this is a way easier method. So next step, get some isopropyl alcohol and a rag. You are going to scour this gun. Make sure there is no oil on it anywhere so the paint has a good surface to stick to. The last one I did, you could kind of go overboard with it. Like I wiped it off good, and then I took a heat gun and I heated up the metal, and that kind of pulls all the oils and everything out of the metal. Is it super necessary? No, but if you want it to be like a permanent, like perfect paint job, like okay. But we're not going for perfect. This is to camouflage the gun. We're trying to keep it as simple, quick as possible, quick and dirty method. That's what's going to work best for this. So let's get wiping. So just all these surfaces here, your barrel, stock. I pretty much already wiped this, so I'm just going over these surfaces again. And now we're going to move on to the most important step, everybody's favorite. That's actually painting the gun. So this is just some Rust-Oleum camo paint. You want to make sure, it doesn't have to be this one, but you want to make sure that it's like a flat camo paint. You don't want any shine to it because you're trying to camouflage the rifle. So you're going to shake this up good. Make sure it's all mixed together and good to go. I would say shake it for like solid, I don't know, minute or two. Just get all the paint mixed up in there. All right, and then your next step is you're going to clear the nozzle. Sometimes there's a little bit of dirt or little discontinuities in the paint like built up in the nozzle. So I just give it a couple quick sprays, make sure it's cleared out. And now we're painting the gun. So let's get into it. All right, so I'm going to start off with just some very light streaks of paint up and down the gun. Don't have to go crazy. just light coats. You want to start up here and then go down. So you could go back up, down, back up, down, back up. This is just our base coat. We aren't doing anything crazy with this. This is just the base coat, and we're going to paint some camo stripes and stuff over this. Now the base coat is on. Sorry, I got in the light there a little bit. But like I said, don't go too crazy. Just light, even stripes all the way down. Try to cover up as much of the gun as you can. Like I said, doesn't have to be perfect, but we're trying to get it as best as we can. So we're going to let this dry, and then we're going to come back. Might hit it with a little bit more tan, and then we will move on to the greens and the browns to try to break that up a little bit, and I'll show you guys a trick on how to do that. And while we're waiting for that to dry, we are going to hit the bolt. As you can see, I taped everything up with the bolt handle. That's really all you need. And our bipod here. So we're just going to spray them with the tan and let them flash off. And all right, guys, so we let this flash off. It doesn't take a long time. Spray paint, it dries pretty quick. Give it, I don't know, 10, maybe 15, 20 minutes max. Like I said, doesn't take a whole lot of time to dry. And just a good base coat. It doesn't have to be like the perfect even coat, but just enough, cover the whole gun, get everything pretty much tan. You know, it's gonna wear off a little bit as you're using it, as you're shooting it. That's okay. That kind of helps with the camouflage a little bit, actually, because it breaks it up even more. But you could see the difference just in, like, I mean, look at it next to this piece of wood here, how much that breaks up the outline of the rifle, just making it tan. Any kind of flat tan is always the best base coat. That's why I always start with that. Now, I have some brown here. So what we're going to do is all the parts that are lighter on the gun, like barrel and stuff like that, we're going to hit with the darker color to break up the signature. Like this, the stock, we're going to stripe up that a little bit. And again, don't have to go crazy. You want, for me at least, my environment, you want a lot of that tan to still be in there. So we're going to just do some striping. You could use like a straight edge of some kind, like a piece of cardboard, make those lines kind of straight. Doesn't really matter a whole lot. I just like to kind of freehand put a couple stripes down it, break it up. You're going to do that on both sides. And like I said, with the dark color, stay away from stuff that would be darker, like my scope caps here, my scope turrets, the magazine, that kind of stuff. But the stuff that's more of a lighter color, like in here, we're not going to spray any because that's dark. What you're trying to do is make the light parts dark and the dark parts light. That's what breaks up an image. So let's get to it. All right, guys, so let's start striping this thing up. I got my brown paint here. We're just gonna make little stripes. Typically want to hold it for a little bit longer. You can kind of tiger stripe it a little bit, like make them go kind of all different directions. That's what I like to do. And you're just layering that on there. Like I said, nothing too crazy. Obviously, these parts of the scope that aren't sticking out, I'm going to hit that with some. See, I got a little bit, but the scope caps are covered anyway, so it's not really going to matter. They're going to be black to begin with, but like kind of anything that you can, that's sticking out, you want to keep light, and anything that's like a lighter image that reflects more light, you want to make it darker. So we're going to do this on all sides, top, bottom, and we'll show you what that looks like. And here is what we have so far. See, that breaks up the image and outline of that gun really good now. I mean, you look at it next to that wood pile. Now, we are going to add some green. I'm not going to go crazy with the green due to my environment, and I will probably go back over it with a few stripes of tan again, just to make sure it's not too dark in any spots and it blends good. But we will get to that and show you what that looks like in a sec here. Alrighty, we're going to hit it with some green striping now. Like I said, very sparingly. I don't want to go crazy with the green. I already have another rifle that's got too much green in it that I have to respray. So sparingly with the green, obviously depending on your environment. But I don't live in Iceland, so we're going to go easy on the green. But same kind of deal. We're just kind of tiger striping that green in there. Now you can use some netting or some natural veg, but I don't like to go that crazy with it personally. I just kind of like to do my own thing. Pretty much anything to break up the outline, any just lines all over the place is what's going to help it blend really well in any environment. Hit it with a couple more here. Alrighty, so I put the green on there. Like I said, I went a little bit too crazy with the green, like I typically do, and the brown. So I'm going to hit it with a little bit more tan and see how she comes out. Tiny bit more brown. I did hit the bipod and the bolt with a tiny bit of brown just to break it up, but here is our pretty much finished product. And that's kind of what I like, is when the other colors kind of bleed through the tan. Like it's not totally like striped after the fact, they're kind of bleeding through. That really, actually the layering helps to break up the signature of that weapon, and I think it came out pretty good. So we're gonna let this dry off, unmask everything, and we will show you what it looks like after that. All right, guys, it is the next day, and here is the finished product. I just kind of went for a very generic GWAT sniper rifle looking thing. I did add a cheek riser, just made it out of a piece of foam and some 100-mile-an-hour tape like they used to do back in the day, and I think it came out awesome. As you could see, everything is sort of bleeding through the tan. Like that's as I was saying, that's exactly what you want when you're trying to just freehand it and not like go over it with any sort of pattern. But I think this came out fantastic, and I am very happy with it. And once again, that is going to do it, guys. I hope you enjoyed watching this. I enjoyed making it. I had a lot of fun painting this gun. And stay tuned for next video. We are going to go through a full build breakdown on this bad boy. We're going to group it on paper, probably shoot it out to some distance, and I'll walk you through everything I did to set this gun up and make it what it is now. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We will see you in the next one.